As you know, my name is Angela Wood, and I want to talk to you today about the Lincoln High School AYP Accountability Report. I know that we have started testing our 10th graders with a plan and our 11th graders with ACT, but this was the only high stakes test information that we have on the Alabama State Department of Education website. So I'm going to use the AYP report. So first, what is AYP? Some of us may not know that AYP is for annual yearly progress, and it is measured each year by our students taking the Alabama graduation exam. So this is an annual measurement of student progress in the areas of math and reading. It is driven by the No Child Left Behind Act of 2002 that want to ensure that all students have access to an equal education. And there are negative consequences for schools that repeatedly fail to meet their goals. And one of the things, or one of the not punishment, but one of the consequences is school improvement. And I'm glad to say that Lincoln High School is not in school improvement. Nor did we have to go into safe harbor. Accountability report. This is the latest report that we have on the state website, and it is from the 2011-2012 testing that we have. So out of 17 goals, we met 17. That means that we had 100% completion on that. We have the measure I mentioned earlier that we are measured in reading and math, and that's true for all states. There are 9 segments of participants, and when we go over and look at the data from our reading and math scores, we'll talk about those 9 groups or segments, and then there are 4 different categories. Some terminology, some things that I will be discussing. So proficiency index, that's the indication where a group is in relation to the goals across the grades. So 0 index, that means that students are meeting the goal on average. If you have a positive index, it means you're exceeding your goal. You have a negative, of course, that means that you're not meeting your goal. And we're going to see that on the next slide with reading, when we look at the reading scores. Your confidence interval, you're going to see an initial abbreviation CI, that stands for confidence interval, and that's the range of scores that a district falls within. And if a school is within that range, and they may have a negative index, as long as they're within that range, they have confidence interval, and they're considered to have met AYP. And that's true also for Lincoln in a couple of areas. And then the proficiency goal, that is the goal set by the No Child Left Behind. Okay, so we're going to look at the reading score for Lincoln. It's actually from the 2010-2011 data, but it's the status for 2011-2012. Okay, right here we see that we met 17 out of 17 goals for 100%. So we made AYP, we're not in school improvement. But these are the 9 groups that I was telling you about, the 9 segments. So the first one is all students, all the students combined. Then you have special education, American Indian, Asian, Black, Hispanic, White. Then you have limited English proficient students. So those are our categories for our 9 groupings. But then we have 4 different areas here. We have percent of participation, whether we met that participation goal, our proficiency index, and then what if we met that goal or not. So for all students, we had 100% participation. Our goal was 95%, so we exceeded that goal by 5%. Did we meet the participation goal? Yes. Our proficiency index, we had a negative 2.40. Now remember what I said, if you have a negative, then it means that you have not met that goal. But we were within the confidence interval, so we were considered to have met AYP in the area of participants. Our special ed, we have 100%. NA for participation goal, we were at a negative 37.45, but if we met the goal, was considered NA. We don't have American Indian students, so there's no data. Same thing with Asian. With our black students, we had 100% participation. Yes, we met that goal. Again, we had a negative number, negative 7.85, but we were within the interval, so we made AYP. Okay. For Hispanic, we had no data. For white, we had 100% participation. We met that goal, yes. This time we had a positive, so it was 0.07. So yes, we met that proficiency goal. And then we don't have limited English proficient students, so that is no data, just like on the American Indian. So that was our reading section of the test. And we're also in math, and I include graduation rate at the bottom of this. So we still have the same 9 groups. On this one, you can see the free and reduced lunch, and I accidentally cut that off on that last slide. So that was our 9th group. So with our participation, we had 100% across the board in all students, special ed, black, white, and free and reduced. We didn't have data in limited English students, Hispanic students, our American Indian students. So our goal was 90% participation, 95%, and we met that in those areas. So yes, we met our goal. On our proficiency index, we were negative in one section, and that was with our special ed. But in all the other areas, with our all students overall, it was 8.40, so that is a positive number. With our black, we were 1.80. With white, we were 11.56. And with our free and reduced, we were 6.86. So we were positive in all of those areas in math, in the index. So we met our proficiency goal in those areas. And of course, if we don't have students in those areas, it's no data. So we didn't have to rely on the confidence interval to help us make AYP on math. We made it, the students made it alone, so we didn't have to rely on that. Our graduation rate was 85%. The goal is 90. We had 85, but since we met an additional academic indicator, we were considered AYP, so we made it in that area. So that is why Lincoln High for the 2011-12 school year was considered to be AYP. Yes. And the references, I got the reports from the Alabama State Department of Education under accountability, and then I visited a couple of websites for more information on reading these reports. And you can find that same information. It explains how you can look at each area. And I know this is a quick overview, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how we did on accountability and where we stand with AYP, even if we are getting away from that and going to ACT and the plan with our 10th and 11th graders.